My beloved child. There are stories that begin with excitement. There are stories that begin with hope. And then there are stories that begin so quietly that no one notices the moment everything starts to change. This is one of those stories. Someone's relationship story took an unexpected turn, and what happened next surprised everyone involved. At first, everything looked perfect from the outside. The messages were warm. The conversations lasted for hours. The plans for the future seemed clear. Friends believed they had found something rare. Family members smiled whenever their names were mentioned together. Even strangers could see the connection. But life has a way of revealing things when people least expect it. One ordinary morning, something felt different. No argument had happened. No dramatic scene had taken place. Yet there was a silence where laughter used to be. A pause where certainty once existed. A question that neither person knew how to ask. Have you ever felt that? That strange moment when everything appears normal, yet your heart tells you that a chapter is slowly turning? The person at the center of this story felt exactly that. Days passed. The relationship continued, but the comfort that once came so naturally began to feel distant. Small details started standing out. Conversations became shorter. Smiles became harder to read. The future that once looked bright suddenly seemed covered by a thin layer of uncertainty. Yet neither person wanted to admit what they were feeling. Why? Because sometimes people are not afraid of losing someone. Sometimes they are afraid of discovering the truth. And the truth was getting closer every single day. One evening, after a long and exhausting day, a simple message arrived. It was not dramatic. It was not emotional. It was not even very long. But those few words changed everything. The message forced both people to stop pretending that nothing had changed. For the first time, they looked honestly at the relationship they had built. Not the version they showed the world. Not the version they imagined. The real version. And what they saw surprised them. Because beneath all the uncertainty, beneath all the confusion, beneath all the fear, there was something neither of them had expected to find. There was still hope. Not the easy kind of hope. Not the comfortable kind. The kind of hope that requires courage. The kind that asks difficult questions. The kind that forces people to grow. What happened next was something neither of them had planned. Instead of walking away, they decided to talk. Really talk. No distractions. No masks. No pretending. Just honesty. For hours, they shared things they had never said out loud before. Dreams. Fears. Disappointments. Expectations. And with every conversation, a new picture began to emerge. The unexpected turn in their relationship was not the ending they feared. It was the beginning of a deeper understanding. Suddenly, moments from the past started making sense. Misunderstandings that once seemed impossible to solve became clear. Questions that had remained unanswered finally found their place. And the most surprising part? Neither person was the same after that conversation. Because sometimes the biggest turning point in a relationship is not a goodbye. Sometimes it is a moment of truth. A moment when people stop trying to be perfect and start trying to be real. As the weeks passed, the relationship continued to transform. Friends noticed changes. Family members noticed changes. Even the two people living the story noticed changes. There was more patience. More understanding. More gratitude. The connection felt different. Stronger. Not because life had become easier, but because they had learned how to face challenges together. And yet, another surprise was waiting just around the corner. One day, while looking through old memories, one person found something forgotten. A message. A note. A simple reminder from a time when everything had first begun. Reading those words brought back emotions they thought had disappeared. The excitement. The hope. The belief that anything was possible. And in that moment, they realized something powerful. The relationship had not lost its meaning. It had simply evolved. What once felt uncertain now felt valuable. What once felt confusing now felt clear. What once felt fragile now felt resilient. The unexpected turn had led them somewhere they never expected to go. Not backward. Forward. Toward a version of themselves they had never met before. Toward a future they could not have imagined during those difficult days. And that is why this story matters. Because many people believe that unexpected turns are signs that something is ending. But sometimes they are signs that something important is beginning. Sometimes life redirects people so they can discover strengths they never knew they possessed. Sometimes uncertainty creates wisdom. Sometimes challenges create connection. Sometimes the very thing that appears to be a setback becomes the reason a beautiful new chapter can begin. So if you are facing an unexpected turn in your own journey, remember this story. Remember that not every change is a loss. Not every challenge is a defeat. Not every question leads to disappointment. Sometimes the road bends because there is something extraordinary waiting around the corner. And sometimes, when everything seems uncertain, life is quietly preparing a surprise greater than anything you imagined. The story you thought was ending may only be reaching its most important chapter. And what happens next may become the reason you are grateful that the unexpected turn happened at all. A strange realization was beginning to unfold, and neither person could see where it would lead. The relationship that once seemed easy had entered a season of reflection. Every conversation now carried more meaning. Every silence seemed to contain a message waiting to be understood. As they continued moving forward, they started noticing things they had ignored for a long time. Small acts of kindness. Unspoken support. Tiny moments that had quietly held everything together. What shocked them most was not what had changed, but what had remained. Through every misunderstanding, every uncertain day, and every unanswered question, a genuine connection had survived. That realization became impossible to ignore. One afternoon, something happened that no one expected. It was not a dramatic event. It was not a grand gesture. It was a simple moment that seemed ordinary at first. Yet that single moment revealed more than months of conversations ever could. One person looked at the other and suddenly understood something they had missed all along. The relationship had never been about perfection. It had always been about growth. The pressure to have every answer had created unnecessary fear. The need to control every outcome had created unnecessary stress. And the moment they released those expectations, something remarkable happened. The connection felt lighter, stronger, more genuine. As this new understanding grew, another surprise emerged. People around them began sharing observations they had never heard before. Friends spoke about qualities they admired. Family members pointed out strengths neither person recognized in themselves. The more they listened, the more they realized that others had seen their potential long before they had seen it themselves. It felt almost unbelievable. For so long, they had focused on problems that they failed to notice the foundation that had been quietly supporting them from the beginning. Suddenly, pieces of the puzzle started fitting together. Questions that once felt impossible now seemed easier to answer. Then came an evening that neither of them would ever forget. The sky was calm. The world seemed unusually quiet. And during a simple conversation, a truth emerged that changed everything. The unexpected turn in their story had never been the challenge itself. The unexpected turn was the lesson hidden inside it. Every difficult moment had revealed something valuable. Every period of uncertainty had created an opportunity for understanding. Every setback had pointed them toward a deeper connection. Looking back, they could finally see the path clearly. What once appeared confusing now seemed purposeful. The days that followed brought even more clarity. Instead of worrying about what might happen next, they began appreciating what was happening right now. They laughed more often. They listened more carefully. They expressed gratitude more freely. The relationship felt different because they were different. Growth had changed the way they viewed each other. Growth had changed the way they viewed themselves. And for the first time in a long time, they stopped searching for guarantees and started embracing possibilities. Then another unexpected discovery arrived. While revisiting old memories, they found reminders of dreams they had nearly forgotten. Plans. A remarkable realization was about to change everything. The relationship that once seemed uncertain was now revealing a truth that neither person had noticed before. For so long, they had focused on what was missing, what was confusing, and what felt difficult. Yet they had overlooked something extraordinary that had been quietly growing beneath the surface. Every challenge they had faced had taught them something valuable. Every misunderstanding had revealed a lesson. Every moment of uncertainty had strengthened their ability to understand each other. And then something happened that neither of them expected. One ordinary day became unforgettable. There was no special occasion. No celebration. No announcement. Just a simple moment that arrived without warning. During a conversation, one person said something completely honest. Not planned. Not rehearsed. Just honest. The words were simple, but their impact was enormous. For a moment, everything became clear. The fears that had created distance suddenly lost their power. The doubts that had filled their minds began to disappear. The questions that had remained unanswered finally started making sense. And that was when they realized the unexpected turn in their story had never been about losing their connection. It had been about discovering its true value. Sometimes people only understand the importance of something after they are forced to examine it closely. Sometimes they only recognize what they have when life asks them difficult questions. This relationship was no different. The more they reflected on their journey, the more they understood how much they had grown. They remembered the beginning. The excitement. The anticipation. The endless conversations. The feeling that anything could happen. But now they saw something even more meaningful. They saw resilience. They saw patience. They saw understanding. They saw a bond that had survived moments that once seemed impossible to overcome. That realization changed everything. Suddenly, the future no longer felt uncertain. It felt full of possibility. The unexpected turn had opened a door they never knew existed. And on the other side of that door was a version of their relationship that was stronger, wiser, and more meaningful than before. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. And with every passing day, new discoveries continued to appear. The small moments became more important. A thoughtful message. A kind gesture. A shared memory. A simple conversation. Things that once seemed ordinary now felt extraordinary. Because they had learned something many people never learn. True connection is not built only during perfect moments. It is built during imperfect ones. It is built when people choose understanding over assumptions. It is built when they choose honesty over silence. It is built when they continue moving forward even when the path becomes unclear. And then came another surprise. One evening, while reflecting on everything that had happened, they noticed something astonishing. The very challenge they once wished had never happened had become one of the most important moments of their journey. Without it, they might never have discovered the strength hidden inside their relationship. Without it, they might never have learned how much they truly valued each other. Without it, they might never have grown into the people they were becoming. What once appeared to be a setback had become a gift. What once appeared to be a problem had become an opportunity. What once appeared to be uncertainty had become clarity. And that realization filled them with gratitude. Not because everything had been easy, but because every experience had led them to a deeper understanding of themselves and each other. The story that seemed unpredictable was beginning to reveal its purpose. Every chapter connected. Every lesson mattered. Every moment had a reason. The unexpected turn was not random. It was preparing them for something greater. As they continued forward, they carried a new sense of confidence. Not confidence that everything would always be perfect, but confidence that they could face whatever came next together. That confidence transformed the relationship in ways they never imagined. They laughed more. They listened more. They appreciated more. And most importantly, they stopped taking each other for granted. Life continued moving forward. New opportunities arrived. New experiences unfolded. New memories were created. Yet through it all, one truth remained constant. The unexpected turn had changed their story forever. Not by ending it, but by giving it new meaning. And as they looked ahead, they realized something powerful. The most beautiful chapters are often the ones nobody sees coming. The moments that surprise us. The moments that challenge us. The moments that force us to grow. Those are often the moments that shape our future. This relationship had discovered exactly that. And although they still did not know everything the future would bring, they knew one thing with certainty. The journey was far from over. In fact, it felt as though an even more meaningful chapter was just beginning. The unexpected turn that once seemed confusing had become the foundation for something remarkable. And what happened next would reveal just how powerful that foundation had become. A new chapter was quietly unfolding, and neither person fully understood how important it would become. For a long time, they believed the unexpected turn in their relationship was the biggest surprise they would ever face. They thought the difficult moments had already taught them everything they needed to know. They believed they had finally reached a place of understanding. But life still had another lesson waiting. And this lesson would change the way they viewed their entire journey. One morning, as they reflected on everything that had happened, a simple question appeared in their minds. What if the unexpected turn was never the story? What if it was only the beginning of the story? The thought stayed with them throughout the day. The more they considered it, the more they realized how much their perspective had changed. Months earlier, they had focused on uncertainty. Now they focused on possibility. Months earlier, they had worried about what might go wrong. Now they wondered what incredible opportunities might be ahead. That shift in thinking transformed everything. The relationship no longer felt like something fragile. It felt like something valuable. Something worth protecting. Something worth appreciating. Something worth celebrating. As they continued moving forward, they began noticing remarkable changes. Not dramatic changes. Not sudden changes. Meaningful changes. The kind that quietly reshape a person's life. They became more patient with each other. More understanding. More supportive. More grateful. And with every passing day, they discovered new reasons to appreciate the connection they shared. Then something happened that neither of them expected. A conversation began about old dreams. Dreams they had talked about years before. Dreams they had nearly forgotten. Dreams they once believed were impossible. As they spoke, excitement returned. Not because those dreams had suddenly become easier, but because they realized they were no longer facing them alone. The unexpected turn in their relationship had revealed something powerful. True connection does not only help people survive difficult moments. It helps them pursue meaningful ones. That realization brought a sense of hope unlike anything they had experienced before. Suddenly, the future looked different. It looked brighter. It looked bigger. It looked full of opportunities they had never considered. Every challenge they had overcome now felt like preparation. Every lesson they had learned now felt valuable. Every unexpected moment now seemed connected to a larger purpose. And that purpose was becoming clearer every day. One evening, while looking back on their journey, they shared something neither had said before. They admitted they were grateful for the unexpected turn. Not because it had been easy. Not because it had been comfortable. But because it had revealed truths they never would have discovered otherwise. It showed them the importance of communication. It taught them patience. It strengthened trust. It deepened understanding. Most importantly, it helped them see each other more clearly than ever before. That realization became one of the most meaningful moments of their story. Because gratitude has a unique power. It transforms the way people see the past. It transforms the way they experience the present. And it transforms the way they approach the future. From that day forward, they carried a different mindset. Instead of fearing unexpected turns, they learned to respect them. Instead of resisting change, they learned to learn from it. Instead of focusing on uncertainty, they focused on growth. And because of that, the relationship continued becoming stronger. The journey was still unfolding. The future remained unwritten. Yet there was a quiet confidence that had never existed before. A confidence built on experience. A confidence built on understanding. A confidence built on trust. As the seasons changed, new memories continued to fill their lives. Simple moments. Meaningful conversations. Shared experiences. Unexpected opportunities. Each one adding another layer to a story that had already become extraordinary. Looking back, they realized something surprising. The relationship they had today was not the relationship they had at the beginning. It was better. Not because it was perfect. But because it was real. Because it had been tested by uncertainty and strengthened by understanding. Because it had grown through experience. Because it had evolved into something deeper than either of them originally imagined. And perhaps that was the greatest revelation of all. Sometimes the most beautiful outcomes are not the ones people plan. Sometimes they are the ones they discover along the way. The unexpected turn that once seemed confusing had become one of the most meaningful parts of their journey. It had changed them. It had taught them. It had prepared them. And as they looked toward the future, they knew one thing with certainty. Their story was still being written. New chapters were waiting. New lessons were waiting. New opportunities were waiting. And whatever happened next, they would face it with wisdom they did not possess before. Because the unexpected turn had given them something priceless. A deeper understanding of what truly matters. And that understanding would continue guiding them through every chapter still to come.